Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Abby. Long time no chatty video. Today I want to show you my everyday journaling system. So I use both the Hobonichi and the Traveler's Notebook. And if you're new to journaling or have no clue what these are about, make sure to keep watching. I'm going to break it down for you and show you how I use these pages, how I document my days, and how I'm able to use both. The frequency, I'll show you some page ideas, some stationery I've been loving recently, some accessories that have been useful in my journaling and everyday documenting process. So I hope you check it out and stick around for more ideas and inspiration. Okay, let's get right into it. So this is the Hobonichi Techo original size journal 2025. I currently have a TSL, the Superior Labor cover on this. It's like an all leather cover. As you can see, it's starting to kind of age slowly but surely. I just got it last May. I've been really enjoying this, and this is my second year using this particular format because the small size and how compact it is allows me to jot down a record of the day without feeling like I have to write so many things to capture the day, if that makes sense. I used to have more of a sporadic update when it came to journaling before. It would be like specific days, or if I have just so much things bubbling up in my head that I need to let out, I put it in an A5 journal. But ultimately, I found that what worked for me was something like this, where it really allowed me a dedicated space per day to write about what happened and also be able to kind of articulate it, add a little deco here and there, and really just capture it and forget about it and then move over to the next day. Let me see. I think I haven't shown you a lot of the pages like past April. So in general, my golden rule with Hobonichi Techo updating is my 3-10 rule. It's something I made for my Skillshare class and I personally follow it. So I don't go past 3 days of not updating my journal. And then if I update every day, I try to write at most like 10 to 15 minutes. I lean towards doing more stream of consciousness writing here, plus a record of the day as it unfolds. I know that's very like meta, but let me show you as I'll get you closer into some of the pages. Okay, something like this. I did some dog sitting on Tuesday. This is Yana's dog, Eddie. So what I wrote is literally 9 a.m. I had a viewing at an apartment nearby that area, and then I wrote it in like a timestamp kind of way. 10 a.m. coffee time at Vim before my workout. 11 a.m. I went to Lifted. It was a workout near that area as well. I just realized now that I'm saying it out loud, I remember that day so clearly. 12 noon to 7 p.m. I had to watch over Eddie, so I bought groceries and then I had lunch at Yana's place and waited for her to arrive. So at the time that she was out, I was working, and then we had like falafel for dinner, and then 9 p.m. I had a call with Kuya Franz for SF Pen Show. So this was like the end of the day. Simple, straightforward list type of jotting down what happened that day. Let's find something very more like core memory. Okay, so literally a week after that, many things happened. I did see another apartment, and it's already the one that I'm currently living in, and this was the day that I signed my lease. So this kind of thing is very spur of the moment. So I wrote something like, crazy that I saw this on Facebook memories from 3 years ago. Who would have thought? That's literally me and my photo at Animal Crossing when I was playing Animal Crossing, and I think I just paid off my loan. You know, when you're playing Animal Crossing, you have to pay off the loan. So I printed this photo out, and it also happened around May. So I feel like the coincidence was kind of creepy but also cool. And then from there, I wrote like an outline of what happened that day. So super sleepy in the morning, got some work done, went to the office to sign a lot of papers. I used my platinum carbon ink to sign my contract. I felt like that's something I needed to share because, I don't know, I was like, I need a pen with like permanent ink. Co-work and matcha with Dee at Cafe Gentil, walked around my new neighborhood, got my nails done, got into a packing flow because we were leaving for London around this time. When I got home, up until bedtime, had to eliminate so much stuff. Yeah, because I only had like a carry-on. And then rewatched Ted Lasso season 1 because I always like watching a show or a movie that's like related to where I'm going. I feel like it builds up the hype. So yeah, this Techo clearly has gone through a lot of my daily happenings, but also one thing I deeply regret, which I will show you, is my trip to London. I actually wasn't able to journal that much about it. I only like put out stickers, but because I wasn't able to bring this journal, deeply regret, I didn't really update it. But I do have a list of what happened during that time, so I will probably go back and rewrite it that way. So as the months go by, I feel like it has been the same kind of formula. I think some key things that really helped is having these prompt stickers. These are by Everyday Explorers Co. I think they really add a lot of context. When I flipped through the page, I immediately knew what happened if that pops out, you know. Any kind of prompt stickers. I like to use smaller size stickers, as you can see here, but if I have something big here, like I love this composition. So this is a fountain pen sticker. I added it separately. It does look like it's matchy, but I had a meeting with Sailor. So I added this little girl there with the pen, like kind of gliding through the pen. I know it's small, but like I think that detail like makes it so much more like cheeky and cute. I also like to look for stickers and ephemera more so in my daily life now, which I'll show you later with the TN setup. That's why they're like kind of working in conjunction now, because back then I couldn't figure out how to do that. But I think having these like small stickers, like I got this from Modular, it really solidifies like, oh yeah, I went to Modular that day. Or, oh yeah, I was probably working. That's why I have a photo of me on a desk. Here and there, I've been really enjoying using also my cute stickers like these ones, and also more of the collage ones. There will be some phases where you see the themes are kind of similar. Like, I don't know, I wanted to use this Moomin tape, so I just use more Moomin stickers on the right hand side. But in general, a lot of my entries recently have been bullet style, like bullet form, like arrows. And I think it has been an easier way for me to kind of jot down everything that happened instead of like writing a lot of paragraphs and stuff. So you'll see also that the nibs I use are relatively thinner, like finer nibs, but this is the Naginata grind from my Bungu box pen, and it's so thick, so it actually looks like there's just so much, like you can barely read it. But I think it was an interesting kind of contrast to see how my journal looks like in that, like using that nib for writing. In terms of photos, I actually barely use these Instax prints anymore because they do bulk up. The only time I did use it was also during my birthday and my sister's wedding. So it's not really frequent that I use it, but I do like having it for special occasions. But this was my move out day, so obviously I needed to commemorate that. And apart from that, I actually want to share with you the new printer that I have. This is the Canon QX20. I have yet to do like a proper like printer chat with you all. I want to say this printer is really great. I don't think it's portable as much as they market it to be. As you can see, it's literally the same size and it's pretty thick. And it is actually kind of heavy, but if I need like quick prints, for example, this one, photo of ice cream from IKEA, I think it really does the job. And that one is actually half of the card, so I'm able to still use up the rest and be able to update. And basically I print 2 photos in one go, or if I'm feeling extra, I'll do more. But generally, they have been really great for updating. Especially, I have some days where I just don't have that much stationery to use, so I will print photos from the day itself. And I think that's also a challenge for me now because not all of my stuff are unpacked. I just moved barely like a month ago to this apartment that I'm staying in, and it was a challenge to really find stationery that I had, and actually most of these were given to me or someone sent me by mail. Like I think Jackie gave me a lot of these bakery themed ones, so I just jumped on the chance and I was like, okay fine, I'm gonna use it, you know. That's pretty much what I want to share with the Hobonichi. I still love it, and as you can see, the idea of still matching the colors is still there. I want to show some pages of the month, the month page. So the month page is like a little exercise for me to write quotes. The recent one for August, I actually wrote lyrics from Son of Man because we just watched Tarzan actually. No, I watched Tarzan, and I really loved the lyrics. And then from July, I think it was something about the bear because I was watching the season 4 of The Bear. So these are a lot of the things that I am very deliberate about. It may seem like, oh yeah, it's just an opener for the month. I'm like, no, it really helps me kind of define what I feel or am going through during that period in my life. So this one's actually from a reel, and I really love what it says too. But life is not a puzzle, it's a wave, and you were never meant to carry the wave. You were meant to let it move through you. The joy, the fear, the heartbreak, the moments that didn't make sense until much later. And ultimately, this is like a testament to my growth as a human being. I think I can also show you a bit of my vision board. So this is my vision board for 2025. No context, I'm not gonna explain why, but my word of the year was balance. Okay, now I want to show you how it connects to this. But before that, I wanted to quickly show you also, have I written with it? I probably have in this TN. So I actually have a new pen. Look at my trifecta. I have a trifecta now of Sailor pens, and they're still in the Abbey color scheme. But I want to show you this one. This is the new pen that I got recently, and it was gifted to me by Sailor North America. So I was able to work with Sailor North America for the San Francisco International Pen Show. We had an ink bar, and it was such a great way to let my workshop attendees try out different inks and be able to use it for their fountain pen writing experience and also for journaling. So they asked me to pick a pen from their Manyo 3 series, and I picked the Gourd. So this is what it looks like. It's a gorgeous orangey muted green color. We have this like transparent cap, and it's actually a shocker, but it is my first time trying out a medium nib, and I really love it. I think I might switch now to the medium nib because for the longest time, all of my Sailor pens have been medium fine. I did use it a lot for inking and writing on some of the pages for this insert that I'm going to show you, but this one is currently inked with Sumomo, which is the Manyo ink that it comes with when you buy a box of this particular Sailor fountain pen. It's a Pro Gear Slim, by the way. I think I have made peace with the fact as well that I am more of a Pro Gear Slim girly than a Pro Gear. Okay, now let's have a look at these two. So this is my traveler's notebook. It's in the olive color. I actually admittedly don't use this cover as much, but I really love this patch. So if you're curious, I got this in Chicago. It was from a really random thrift store in Pilsen, and we were just there looking at old stuff, and then I stumbled upon this, and I remember it wasn't so expensive. It was only like $4, so I hopped on the chance, and I knew it would be perfect here. It has very Girl Scout energy. Somehow it reminds me a bit of Wes Anderson too. And then at the back I have a sticker patch. I don't remember who exactly gave this to me. It's gonna be either Sophie or Michelle, but I know they got it from Japan. This is Van Gogh Sunflowers, one of my favorite paintings of all time. So this is my traveler's notebook. I am currently working on my planner system, so the GU is actually here, housed here. Every time I need to refer back to work or my deadlines, I use my GU for that. And then this is what I wanted to show you. This in particular, this is a regular size, standard size, MD paper cream insert. Nothing fancy. I thought that the main issue I had with this size was that I had a lot of leftover ephemera. There were some important days that stood out to me throughout the summer, and I've done this before. I've had like an autumn insert for the past couple of years. And since summer is always like busy and poppin', I thought it would be nice to have an insert to kind of commemorate that. But I wouldn't say this is exactly just for summer. Like, it'll probably carry over to the autumn season because I will be traveling. The travels are not going to be in this insert, right? So I thought of it as also a way to start the new chapter of my life in Berlin, which is moving to this apartment. And so this is kind of like the entry point of this insert. I want to compare and show you how the pages kind of complement each other, but also not quite. So obviously the difference of the Traveler's Notebook and Hobonichi Techo is that the Techo has the dates and then Traveler's Notebook doesn't have the dates. And I think that gives me a lot of flexibility. So for example, I have the same photo of the moving. I actually had extra of it, so I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna use it here. So what happened is, this is like a summary of the move day, but this is more of like the fleshed out version of what happened during the move, and also kind of more inner thoughts about it and how I felt about, you know, starting this new chapter. Obviously, it's very new, learning how to navigate the new changes. And then apart from that, I also use this as an opportunity to be able to jot down little things that are kind of happening in my day-to-day life. So this is not a travel journal, but you'll see that Salzburg is there. So when my family visited, I took them to Salzburg, and I'm gonna show you the comparison spreads. July 28th, we went to Salzburg, and this one is like a summary of these 3 pages. I mean, it's not very direct, you know, direct to the point. But my point being, I actually already had documented the Salzburg trip in my travel journal, but I had extra ephemera and I also wanted to kind of recap it here. So I just kept it and then I used it as deco for this particular page. This is the ink, by the way, and this is the pen. I really like it. So you can see it has a really nice like shading, and you can definitely see how thick the writing is, which I really love. I also think one of the things that allows me to get excited and creative when it comes to using a traveler's notebook in contrast to the Hobonichi is the fact that it reminds me of, since I use traveler's notebook mainly as a travel journal system, this makes me think, like the mindset is more like, oh my god, it's like I'm traveling, or like it feels more special in a way. And that mindset, I think, has allowed me to also get a better sense of how to channel my creativity on these pages. I don't know if that makes sense. So for example, these ones are pretty much like, here, successful errands day. So this is like a mishmash of all the things we did while my mom and sister were here, and I had the ephemera and also I needed to use them, you know? So I was like, okay, let me just kind of pull them together, and I love the size variation. So this is from the photo booth strip. This is from the restaurant we ate at in Cocodrillo. This is, Pascal is really nice. They have like chu, I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly, but I've always wanted to try it. So even for me, it became like this avenue to become a tourist in my own city. And a little reminder, I was not born and raised here, so I think that in itself allows me to provide a more like wide-eyed wonder to like living in Berlin. Like, I've been living here for almost 4 years now, but a lot of things still feel very novel to me, and I really enjoy that fact because it allows me to pay attention and be more mindful about the life I chose by living here. Wow, that sounded so poetic, you guys. Okay, so other things I wanted to share here. So I kind of made it in a very straight way where everything was kind of just juxtaposed in this format. All of this would not fit in the Techo, but it gave me a reason to be able to draw out everything that I've written from these pages, you know? Because technically it's like a hodgepodge of all these days. So there's also that Thursday, and then there was this Sunday when we went to the flea market to go shopping, and then we also had the next weekend where we went to Potsdam, which was actually this day. It was a rainy day, so obviously I needed to use a rainy sticker to encapsulate that. This is another example. This is probably one of my favorite spreads. I think the card file ephemera really stood out. Really stood out. So this was pretty much my own like recap of some new discoveries around the city, you know. One thing is I found a nice bakery that has sourdough, so I was like, okay, great. And then I kept the packaging of that. And then I jumped on the opportunity to use the Berlin washi tapes that I was able to get a while back. And then I also have been doing some side quests. Also, this is still the same pen and ink. I really love this. This is my new favorite pen and ink combo, actually. And this one is a card file from Traveler's Notebook that I got from Moranga because I was printing out Instax photos for my move. I really have had a lot of side quests this summer, actually, and I'll share it soon in a future video. But I kept the packaging, and obviously I had to put that in. And then I used the Canon printer from earlier to print these, so it's a collage. And then I visited Ven, so she got her first TN, and we took like a commemorative photo, which I really, really love. It's so special. So I wrote Virgo plus Cap because we're both earth sign girlies. And because of the predominantly orange colorway that I knew was going to happen over here, I just added supplementary elements that would really put everything together. Even this flower arrangement here, I found this sticker from Alfahone, and she made this like floral all good sticker, and I think it really adds a lot of character to how everything sort of went. For context, that was another Saturday, this one. Yeah, see, it's like same but different. Like, this is literally another photo of us, but this was on the Instax, and then this was that day. But again, I think in a way this really shows you how there are several different ways to document your experience without it being redundant. So this day that I went to Sina was also this day because I got bread. You know, like context clues really mean a lot because it really allows you to kind of see things as they are. Also, I think this was a good excuse for me to use Traveler's Notebook outside of traveling. I actually got inspired by Job. Job's one of my best friends, and also he's been like the Traveler's Notebook boy since day one, and he has several volumes of the Traveler's Notebook as like his daily journal, and I couldn't quite figure out how I could do it that way, so this was also something I needed to ease into to sort of understand the context of. I am still working on it, so I'll show you a couple of work in progress pages before I show you this other one. That was my trial run before I settled into a more serious? I don't know, I don't think it's serious, but more pages insert. Okay, I think that's a better way to put it. Okay, so I also mentioned that I'm trying to be more of a tourist in my own city, so a few weeks ago we went to the Buchstaben Museum, and obviously there was a ticket, so kept the ticket. I still want to write something here. This is the card that came with it, ephemera from their brochure, and so see, everything is kind of like patched up here, and I think in terms of habit, I'm still figuring out how frequent I'd be able to update this without it being too tiring. Maybe once a week or once every few weeks, depends if things are happening. So for sure, if life is busy, there won't be any updates here, but that's totally fine. That's how life goes, you know? I also was kind of struggling at first to figure out this layout because there were just so many empty spaces and it felt so rigid compared to how playful this was, you know, and these ones. So I just put up a photo of my desk here, my working area, and then this is actually a cutout from the shoe rack I bought from the hardware store. I've been eyeing it for like so many times, like twice already, so I managed to keep the ephemera and put it there. So I've only updated this part. These things I still have to get back to. This is another one that is kind of a work in progress. I think let's normalize using grocery ephemera. I think it's a fun way to really just kind of, you know, judge up your journal pages. I personally have been enjoying putting them together because this is the vision for this spread is actually like a what I've been cooking kind of spread, so it's food related. So I made bibimbapsu, which is Korean cold noodles, and then I want to paste a couple more photos. I've been really cooking a lot and making sure that I use my kitchen, so I pasted those in. And then this one is actually a card that came with my sofa, my couch, and initially I folded it halfway so I could link it here. So you know that here, right, this is like the binding area for the traveler's notebook with the staples. You could actually like put in like an insert something here like that. So this was the initial idea. I was still like on the fence about it. I think it's great because when you open, there has this kind of like, ooh, and then I could write something here. Actually, I should just put it back. Write something here that's also related to the context of what happened here. But my main concern was every time I open, it was just kind of there. So it's either I want to put like a double-sided tape or something to kind of have a resistance. And it's gonna appear in the opposite page. Yeah, here. So yeah, this is my kind of catch-all for happenings outside my Hobonichi Techo, but still in Berlin. I think having this has been like a really nice addition and a game changer. And because it doesn't have dates, I feel less of a pressure to update it frequently, and it really is more of like a, okay, I need to write some more things that I otherwise cannot fill in my Techo, and then it's here. So another plus that I want to show you is I actually decided to do this because of this idea of doing recaps. And I used to do a lot of monthly recaps and weekly recaps in my previous journals, especially when I used A5 size and the diarist. And I think I wasn't able to do that anymore because the Techo doesn't really have space for that. So I had this insert. I will tell you the story of this insert. So this was actually an insert for my trip to Belgium, and I ended up not journaling about my trip to Belgium. And then I said, okay, you know, I have to cut myself some slack because I've been sort of using all of my trips as an incentive to make content about travel journaling. I mean, it works both ways, but in the end, I didn't have mentally, I wasn't really there. Like, my Belgium trip was really a I don't know, like, was it a healing trip? It was like a looking inward kind of trip. So I just decided not to document it either way. But I did dedicate an insert for it. So this is the half trip insert, and it's the MD paper white. So the cover is craft. And I felt bad abandoning it. I tore out like 2-3 pages of it. And from those pages, I had the remainder. And the regular insert has 64 pages and this has 32, and if I tore out more, you know, do the math, I probably have less than 30 pages. So that gave me an incentive of like, okay, I'll just try documenting here. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. I think it's fine. So that was basically what happened. And I also used it as a way to create more journal spreads that couldn't fit here anymore, you know? For example, if I wanted to use my Patreon mail, if I wanted to try new stationery, I knew I needed a place to do that. I really don't like this spread. I don't know what I was doing, you guys. So this is the start of like an experimental phase. So it was more like a monthly recap kind of thing. So I attended an Adobe event. I'm like, where am I gonna put the stickers? I put it there. I had like other ephemera that I knew I wanted to use. Actually, this is kind of funny because how all of this came together was pretty much like serendipitous. Like, this cutout is actually from a Wise letter that they sent me when I activated my card, but I just really love the typography. I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep that. And then I also kept this card from Christoph Niemann from his open studio. And then I knew I had like extra stickers that I knew I needed to use. Tyler of Paper and Pencil sent me mail from the Chicago Stationery Fest because I designed some of their merch. So I was like, okay, wait, I think something's gonna happen here. So then I just started to stick stuff in, and this became like a May recap indirectly. And I think it worked out. I think that's the best part about this. It did work out. Apart from that, this was around the time also where I was starting to set up my move. So I went to IKEA several times. We had this kitchen planning. I actually love this doodle that I did because I think it complements the packaging of the IKEA bedsheet that I got. And then took home a card from a restaurant. You know, I started to have this format of like, wait, these are things that I need to write somewhere but don't fit in my Techo anymore. But as you can see, I didn't even stamp any dates. I just wrote a lot of like recaps like in bold font so I can kind of visualize what's happening and what I did during that time period. I also would receive mail from friends, letters, notes, and I'm like, where am I gonna put those, you know? So Coco sent me some notepads. So cute. I have a Rosebud Motel. It's actually on my fridge right now. There's also Grand Budapest Hotel. I just didn't know where to put them. I also even had the packaging from the Beatles record I bought. This is so funny. This is actually a picnic mat for one person. I really like it. Looks like a QR code. This is the pattern. I only got it for €3. It's my favorite purchase of the summer. So I stuck it in. I feel like the juxtaposition of this painted background from Malervig that I got and this one really makes so much sense. I don't know. Or is it just me? It's probably just me, you guys. But ultimately, it became this creative outlet that I didn't expect to enjoy. Even this one, so this is actually a mix of ephemera that Keisha gave me because she went to Basel and she wrote that for me. And then I had my June mail was very like nature themed and travel themed, so I incorporated it there in a way. And then this is a very not so meaty June recap, but I also tried to get creative. Like I kept the ephemera from Bauhaus, we went to the hardware store. These are photos that I printed from the drugstore. You will see that it's relatively different from the Canon one because it has rounded corners. I want to make a reel soon about it, but I think it's a great way also to have your photos printed when you're like out and about and don't have a printer. I'm sure in the US drugstores also do that, but I don't think you guys have sticker backing, so these are sticker backing ones, and I really find them cool. I also did this as a demo during my workshop in June at C-Space. Again, it has been kind of like an exercise into adding ephemera. Hold on, let me show you like the actual ones because it's not so obvious, but I think that in itself doesn't make it so redundant, as I mentioned, because then you don't have to keep like, oh, everything has to be in theme. So this is actually the misread day, two entirely different ways of showing what happened during that time. And then, as I mentioned, C-Space workshop, more ephemera that we kept, and this one I actually haven't written on. But I also think this has been a great creative outlet for studying colors because I like to match colors, as you can see here, and I think it has really given me a lot of incentive to try it out, and also more reason to use my fountain pens and to write. So even here, like this is from the planetarium, this is from a matcha place, ice cream. I forgot where this film strip was from, but this was towards the last few days of me in my previous apartment because you can see all the boxes there. So I finished this up, not really to the brim, but at the back I also pasted a photo of me and my friends. But after I finished this, I knew that a possibility for this kind of insert would be nice to add to my system, and I think this time I really have outdone myself and proved myself wrong, because in the past have I did not finish a TN. I don't think so, actually. I think TNs in general are just really easier to finish because there's not much pages and there's not much of a commitment. In any case, I would suggest if you end up not liking how you're using your TN and you just want to toss it out, just if there are still extra pages, just toss out the pages that you don't like. That's really how it is, you know? If you're tearing out pages, which is not really the ideal case, but if you would like to do that, please consider, like, if you're tearing out, let's say this page, you have to find the opposite end of the page so then it tears off seamlessly. I think that's the golden rule I'm just gonna give you about this particular journal insert rather. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for my everyday journaling system for 2025. I think this is gonna be something I'll be carrying on and carrying out for the next couple of months up until the year ends. I will report back if I end up starting a winter insert, but I think this combination of Hobonichi and Traveler's Notebook is not for everyone. I love both systems, so I think it works out in my favor. But if you're interested to try, I definitely have videos on Hobonichi Techo separately and Traveler's Notebook separately. But if you'd like to know more, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts, or if you have also your own observations as to how you're using this system and how your everyday journaling journey has been. Before we end, make sure to check out my Skillshare class, Everyday Journaling, 5 Creative Ways to Document Your Life. I also have a free trial link down below in order for you to try out different ways on how you can document, especially if you're looking for tips and ideas. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!